Hey everyone, Big Pauly back for a brand new video. Yes, just to talk a little bit about a few films that I've seen in the last 10 days or so. I've got a good list here of 7 things, mixture of physical releases, some streaming and some cinema trips. Yeah, okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I've got a couple of DVDs as well, because they don't have Blu-ray releases. First thing I want to talk about is from the producers of Get Out and Halloween. It's starring Octavia Spencer and it's called Ma. Yes, this was not a bad film. This is about a character played by Octavia Spencer, mid-40s, I'd say. One day she's out getting some groceries and she's approached by this van of school kids, college kids that want to get some alcohol for their party, but unfortunately they're underage. So they ask her if she would mind going in, getting the alcohol for them. She starts to befriend them, and it's kind of like she wants to be one of them. She wants to party with them, she wants to hang out with them, have fun with them. So because it's tricky for some of these kids to find a place to have an all-night party with loads of college kids, a lot of friends and that, she offers them the basement in her house. Yeah, that sounds dodgy as it is. Yeah, so it's a nice little open space there. They can drink to their heart's content and party, her loud music, and she just gets in there and wants to be with them. But the film starts to turn when a few of the kids start bad mouthing her, slagging her off. She should be hanging out with people her own age, not with school kids, that kind of thing. And it kind of like turns into a bully type of situation, and she starts to get a bit hostile, and you don't know how far she's going to take it. Now, there are flashbacks to when she was at school. She was like the nerdy kid, and she was bullied a lot. And she never hung out with the cool kids, and never fit in. And I think this is what she's trying to do now. She's trying to have that time now with these college kids that she didn't have back then. Unfortunately, she kind of like becomes the bully with these college kids, so it's kind of like history repeating itself but twisted. Yeah, so I thought it was okay. There was only a handful of like locations that we use in the film. It's kind of like her basement, the outside of a grocery store, the woods, just a few locations. But yeah, I thought she did a pretty good performance. It's not one of these vicious go around killing all of the students kind of horror films. It's more of a thriller, and it's kind of an anti-bully film in a way. Yeah, but I enjoyed the film. I don't know why it didn't get a Blu-ray in the UK, but it does include an alternate ending, which I did watch the alternate ending. I'm glad they stuck with the original ending, because the alternate ending is a bit naff. But yeah, that was Ma with Octavia Spencer. So there were some good moments in it, some good suspenseful moments as well. But yeah, that's Ma. I gave that 6 out of 10. Don't piss off the school kids. Exactly, yes. Next up, I don't actually have a physical release for it yet, so I will put a little poster up here. Let's lean over. Yes, it's ELVIS. It's ELVIS. I went to the cinema to see this with Papa Bowman and Auntie Chris Bowman. This is directed by Baz Luhrmann, who did Romeo and Juliet and loads of other stuff, and Moulin Rouge and that, which I was never really a fan of a lot of his films. I think the only ones that I've really liked is probably like Australia. I haven't seen, what's the one with Leo DiCaprio, Great Gatsby. I haven't seen that yet, but I do have that on a steelbook. And this tells the story of Elvis's rise to fame from being a young kid learning all about the black music, a big influence of the black style music, and him being sought out by Colonel Tom Parker, who's played by the brilliant Tom Hanks. And it shows you who this person is, because a lot of people that are not die-hard Elvis fans just look at Colonel Tom Parker as his manager, and that's it. But this dives into like the seedy side of it and the reason behind this bloke's intentions and how he lived off Elvis's success and pushed so that he could cover his gambling debts. The film also does star Austin Butler, who is absolutely brilliant as Elvis. They could have searched and searched and searched. They would never have found a guy like this. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah. Whether it be from younger Elvis to middle-aged Elvis to older Elvis, he's got it perfect. You know, he's got the looks, he's got the charisma, he's got the moves. He must have studied these moves for so long. He also sang a few of the songs, which was absolutely brilliant. Everything in the film is so authentic. The costumes, the cinematography, the big grand scale of Las Vegas, and also like the tragic side of Elvis as well, and the problems, the family problems, and the squabbles with him and Colonel Tom Parker as well. And yeah, it's a really great Elvis film. Now, I do hear that there is a 4-hour cut coming that Baz Luhrmann wants to put out there. So whether or not we see that, it'll be very interesting, because I think this film was probably about, was it 2 hours 40 minutes? I think, I'm pretty sure it was about 2 hours 40 minutes. Really wasn't long enough. Could definitely have sat there and watched it. I would have liked to have had a few more Elvis songs, a few more performances, because we get a handful of performances, but it's not overdone. But I would have liked to have seen some more performances, some more like live rendition performances. But come the Oscars, this is going to get quite a lot of Oscar interest, I presume. I would think so anyway. I mean, Austin Butler, he's going to have to be nominated for Best Actor. Tom Hanks will be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. This is going to go for like costume design, cinematography, music. It's gonna hit all of the Oscar nominations. So I would probably say maybe 10 or 12 Oscar nominations. But I'm certainly looking forward to that. But yeah, I thought the film was really good, and it is a little bit emotional at the end for some people. Now, I'm not an absolute die-hard Elvis fan. I'm familiar with all his music. I'm more of a casual fan, you know, so throw on 10 or 20 Elvis tunes and I'll know them and I'll be able to sing along with them. But I'm not a die-hard fan or fanatic. Well, not a fanatic, but a fan. My dad is he's kind of a casual Elvis fan, but the history goes back further. He liked Elvis when he was in his younger days, so my dad has always been a fan. But Daryl, Evander's dad, he's an absolute fan of Elvis, and you can't really say anything bad about Elvis, you know, for what he did. You know, he's the king of rock and roll. He will always be the king of rock and roll. No one will ever take that crown away from him. And I would say he is still the most recognised musician on the planet, and probably will be for a long time to come. So I really had fun with the film. It was great. As I say, the acting was fantastic. The music was fantastic. The look of it was incredible. And this is probably my favourite Baz Luhrmann film to date. So yes, for Elvis, I gave that 8 out of 10. Thank you very much. Don't worry, I'll leave the building in a minute. Okay, so that was Elvis. Right, next up, let's dig this out because I've got a couple of physicals. Oh, Next up, we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's right. At one point in history, you could say the final film in the Indiana Jones trilogy, but you can't now. This is The Search for the Holy Grail. This is a great rip-roaring action-adventure Saturday afternoon popcorn film. The music is absolutely fantastic by John Williams. The direction from Steven Spielberg. Harrison Ford is at the top of his game. Sean Connery as Indy's dad was the most perfect casting you could ever imagine. He was absolutely brilliant in it. I love all of the rest of the cast. Julian Glover was fantastic as Walter Donovan. We have Denon Elliott, John Rhys Davis, and Alison Doody, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, this is probably my second favourite Indiana Jones film out of all of the four. My first will always be Raiders. But this is a beautiful film. It's 2 hours long. It's fast-paced. When it does have its slow moments, they are magic on screen. The dialogue is compelling. Just the character moments, the cinematography is fantastic. There's comedy moments in the film as well. And yeah, I can't say anything else. It's just, if you're going to watch Indiana Jones, if you're a newbie and you want to watch Indiana Jones, I've got nothing against Temple of Doom. Watch Raiders and Last Crusade. Yeah, so that's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. 9.5 out of 10. Where's my hat? Oh dear, this is getting really bad now. Okay, right, the next one up. Next one up is a streaming film I watched the other night on Netflix. This, I'll move over here again. This is called The Princess. Yes, this is a film starring Joey King, who hasn't really piqued that much of an interest in the past. You know, she's been in a few things, a handful of things. I think she was in the second Independence Day film, which we don't really talk about that much. But she's never really had a proper kind of like starring role. I think she did a TV series, I think, where I think she was playing like a cancer victim or something. I'm not quite sure because I didn't see that. It's about a young princess who's been chained up in the top of a tower. She's due to get married to Dominic Cooper, who's kind of trying to take over the realm, trying to take over the kingdom from her father. And she's being forced into marrying him, and she wants to get away. She doesn't want to marry him. And in order for her to get away, it kind of like turns into this big kick-ass martial arts John Wick style film. She's got some serious moves. You know, she kicks her way out of it. She's got some stunt work is pretty good. There's some good comedy moments in there too. I think she did a really good job kicking everybody's ass. And the stunt work, there's a lot involved in this. It's just an amusing film, and great to have like a heroine like this, just taking down a few nasty wannabe kings. I don't know whether or not it'll ever get a physical release, being a Netflix movie, but it was entertaining, and yeah, I had fun with it. It was fast-paced action. It kind of reminded me at some points like The Raid, you know, just kicking people down the stairs, throwing them off balconies, doing backflips and high kicks, and there was quite a bit of violence in it. So, you know, there's like beheadings and sticking swords through stomachs and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, if you like that sort of thing, then give it a go. But for an hour and a half or so, or 2 hours or whatever it was, I can't remember, it certainly was an entertaining film. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. I gave that 6.5 out of 10. I'm not marrying him. Okay, what have we got next? Next, we have the latest Marvel film, Thor: Love and Thunder. Yes, the beloved Thor's back, played by Chris Hemsworth. We get the Guardians of the Galaxy back as well, temporarily. And we have the big baddie, Christian Bale. Gore the God Killer, yes. Tragedy strikes for poor old Christian Bale, and he sets out to kill all gods. Basically, that's the film. And it's up to Thor to stop him. He's got all of his entourage. We have Valkyrie. We also have Natalie Portman. Yes, back as the mighty Thor. I love the backstory of Natalie Portman's character in the film, with the health. I'm not going to say everything about it because, you know, there might be a lot of people that maybe haven't seen it yet, but the health side of it and how she's involved in the film. But I think Natalie Portman was a joy to watch again. It's been a while since we've seen the character in the films, and I think she did a good job. So far as Christian Bale is concerned, can we have a gore film, please, MCU? Please? Maybe a gore prequel? Yeah, we also have Russell Crowe, who's kind of hilarious in the film. He's really camping it up, and he comes across as kind of like a cross between Bruno and Borat, you know, and yeah, totally camp. The look of it is beautiful, beautiful colours. It's got that Ragnarok feel to it because it was done by Taika Waititi, and it's hilarious if you're into that type of humour. If you're not liking that type of humour, then you're not going to really get it. It's the same as like Ragnarok. I loved Ragnarok. Lulu and Claire hated it because the humour didn't work for them. So the humour is not going to work for everybody. Is it one of the best Marvel movies? No. But it is highly entertaining. It's great to have these characters back. And it's always a joy to watch Chris Hemsworth on screen. So, yeah. Oh, and it's got an absolute kicking Guns N' Roses soundtrack. Seriously. As soon as I left that cinema, Appetite for Destruction went on my player in the car. Full blast. It's actually quite emotional as well. Quite emotional film. Not so much the Natalie Portman side of it, but the music. Because playing a particular Guns N' Roses really famous track with a famous intro riff, which I used to play on my guitar, and Mama Bowman loved it. And whenever that came on, her face lit up. So it was quite emotional and a little bit teary when that scene came on the screen and with that music playing. So it's a bit like Captain Marvel. I've always got a love for Captain Marvel because it was the last film that me and Mama Bowman went to see together at the cinema. And of course it's got Goosey, the ginger cat, which of course we had Bobby. So, you know, it's a very emotional film for me to watch because it brings back so many memories. But yeah, I really enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder. I gave that 8 out of 10 Swing Me Axe. Okay, next up we have, where have I done with it? There it is. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yes, this is the 4th instalment of the Indiana Jones films. Cannot wait for the 5th. Oh, seriously, cannot wait for the 5th. The 5th was actually my most anticipated movie of this year until they bloody moved it. Yeah, I was livid. Seriously. But I'm glad they're taking that extra time to get the editing right, to get the look of it right, and not being directed by not being directed by Steven Spielberg kind of worries me. But I've got trust in James Mangold. Logan is amazing, so I do trust him. And from what I've seen, everything from the the 1969 moon landings, Roman soldiers, and Nazis, and I've even seen an image of Indiana Jones with dots all over his face, so de-aging. So I think we're in for a pretty good ride. So it's either going to be time travel, or it's going to be a lot of flashbacks to when Indy was in his younger days, and the story kicks in and connects with whatever is going to happen. We still don't know anything about the story. But I'm really looking forward to it. But as for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there's a lot of things I love about this film. There's a few things that... now, let me start off by saying I have no problem with the refrigerator scene. I think it's kind of quirky and funny. And I think it's kind of a nod to Back to the Future, because the time travel machine in Back to the Future was originally going to be a fridge. But anyway, that's getting off key. But what else was he supposed to do? You know, walking into this nuclear situation, hide under a table? I don't think so. A lead-lined refrigerator. It's just luck that the blast threw it through the air. I know a lot of people don't like the fridge scene, but I have no problem with it. I have a giggle with it. Yeah, so this is the search for the Crystal Skull, which John Hurt is looking for. John Hurt's character goes missing, and it's up to Indy and Shia LaBeouf to go and find both John Hurt and the Crystal Skull, and reunite it with its potential owner, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so some of the action in this is good. I do like the warehouse scene at the beginning. I think that's proper Indiana Jones stuff at Area 51. Also, the motorcycle scenes riding around the campus, the university, and the punch-up in the cafe, very Indiana Jones and 50s, so I really enjoy that. There is a few slow moments in it, like the journey to Akator to find the Crystal Skull. Some of the dialogue between Indy and Mutt, Shia LaBeouf's character, can be a bit slow at times. I like the jungle scenes with the cutters, you know, the rotating cutters. And even the ELVIS monkeys and the swinging through the trees does give me a bit of a giggle. And I think it's harshly looked at. This film is harshly looked at because it's not as good as the other films. But each film has its own great and quirky moments, and giant ants. The only two characters in the film that kind of threw it out a little bit for me were Cate Blanchett. I think there could have been a better villain. But Ray Winston kind of like was the sidekick and was really not needed in the film. I would have liked a better actor to play him. I mean, Ray Winston might be good in like London gangster type stuff, but in a big budget action movie like this, the character wasn't right for him. So I would have liked to have seen someone else play the role. So far as what happens at the end of the film, did they go a little too far? When you're looking, when you look back at the other films, you're talking about the Ark of the Covenant with this mysterious power, and the Holy Grail, which gives life and goes back to the times of Jesus. So is Aliens, is that going a little bit too far? I don't know. I think it worked for the most part. I did like the saucer scene at the end. I thought that was quite good. A throwback to, the 50s B movies. So far as Indy 5, if they're talking about time machines and time travel, it's hard. It's, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't work. I think there could have been other routes that they could have gone down, but then when you think about what they're delving into, all this religion, what higher things, what bigger things can they do for a film? So I've really got no problem with it. I would have liked to have seen the alien side of it done a little bit differently, rather than how it was done. But it's still a fun film. It's entertaining. It's not as fast-paced and memorable as the previous films, but it's a good film. So yes, that's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I gave that 7 out of 10. Where's me skulls? Okay, so let's get on to the last film, which is a film I saw last night. I watched Shadows. This was a £3 pickup from Asda a couple of days ago. I wasn't expecting much from this being a £3 DVD. I have to say though, it was quite entertaining. I was really surprised. Really surprised. It's about these, without spoiling it, because I'll explain in a minute, but without spoiling it, it's about these two girls, Alex and Alma, who live in this deserted hotel in the middle of the woods with their mum. And she's kind of like preparing them for the outside world. There's something outside in the forest, so hints of A Quiet Place. And it's about them living there, protecting themselves, not going out too far, because there are things called the shadows out there that attack during the daytime, but they're okay wandering out at night. Kind of echoes of A Quiet Place. It also kind of reminded me in certain places of M. Night Shyamalan's films, including The Village and The Happening as well, with the outside locations and the quietness. The film is a lot of dialogue. It's not a lot of action, so it was a slow-paced film. There's a lot of dialogue between the two sisters, these two sisters here, who for a £3 film were actually really good. They were believable. There's no crap acting in this film at all. Everybody is at the height of their abilities, and the two girls are fantastic. Really well acted. Surprised me. Really did surprise me. There are some creepy moments in the film. There's some very emotional moments as well with these two girls. And to be perfectly honest, Carlo Lavagna, I think it is Lavagna or Lavagna, who directed the film, I think was influenced by M. Night Shyamalan, because you get to the end of the film and yes, you get a twist. You get a very M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end, which explains what happened. I didn't see it coming. It's not as impactful as an M. Night Shyamalan twist, like Signs or Sixth Sense or Unbreakable or anything like that. But it, when you see it, you then realise, oh, right. So that, you know, you could go back and rewatch it and look for any telltale signs, you know, like you did in The Sixth Sense. But yeah, I think it was really good, actually. I can't believe I'm actually saying this about a £3 DVD, but it kept me engrossed. The character moments were great. The dialogue was really good. The acting between the two daughters and the mum were really good. But having said that, what I'm talking about doesn't necessarily come across at the end of the film because of the twist, and it kind of changes a lot of stuff throughout the film, so that you're watching stuff in the film, but it's not true. But yeah, I really thought this was a really good film. Sinister and creepy. The only thing that lets it down is you don't get to see the so-called shadows, anything out there, because it's not really about anything that's out there. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. So I would definitely pick it up. If you find it in Asda for £3, pick it up, because like I say, it's got elements of A Quiet Place and also things like The Happening and The Village. And cinematography is done perfectly. Very interesting seeing the inside of this old hotel with like the old deserted swimming pool and different rooms, and why they shouldn't go into particular rooms. And it's all supposed to be after this big global event. So make that as you will. But yeah, that was Shadows. Believe it or not, I did give it 5.5 out of 10. So not a high rating, but for a £3 DVD, kept me really entertained. Whether or not it'll be a second time watch, I don't know. I think it's still a one-time watch, but if it's on Friday or Saturday night at 10 o'clock, then on, you know, like Channel 4 or something, I might flip it on and watch it, because great acting. Yeah, pretty good acting from these characters. Fantastic. So there we go. So that is everything I've seen for the last 10 days or so. Nice little handful there, nice little selection. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it by giving it some thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. I'll see you on the next video very soon. Bye.